good afternoon for what should hopefully be the most interesting and exciting session of today. I actually argued with Minnie about the topic because I didn't like a word in the topic, but she refused to take it out, the Trump card. But nevertheless, yes, quick introduction, delivery and smart delivery is what saved some restaurants and hopefully a lot of restaurants during the pandemic, the 2 years. The ones who were not able to pivot and do smart delivery or do delivery, unfortunately perished. I don't know whether you all are aware, but there was a very high mortality. So about 25 to 30% of organized restaurants in India shut down between March 20 and September 21, as in the NRAI COVID impact report. 2.5 million people lost jobs. Okay, so it was quite brutal. It was quite bad, unfortunately. But what is good today, sitting in May 22, is the last COVID wave has been mild, and there is an anticipation that future COVID waves will be mild, hopefully. And business is back. There's, revenge dining, business is back. Delivery is still booming. So, but if you look at delivery from a perspective of where delivery is in India compared to other countries, and I had co-authored a report called the India Food Service Delivery Report, which was released in July 21 with 2 British partners. And we did a lot of comparisons of the Indian delivery market with other countries. And there is luckily there's a lot of growth left. So there's growth opportunities in the average order value, there's growth opportunities in the incidence of delivery, which is the number of times a month customers order delivery in India. It's still low. And there is opportunity which has come up and you've seen in COVID, which is new segments. So there never was really this luxury or high-end dining opportunity on delivery, where people are willing to spend 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 or even more. During the first lockdown, people were spending 4,000, 5,000 for curated meals from luxury hotels and high-end restaurants. So there have suddenly been another trend which recently, I think, is the growth of artisanal foods. So whether it's artisanal cheeses, artisanal ice creams, all kinds of artisanal foods which people earlier used to, or artisanal meats. A lot of interesting businesses. There are very interesting tonics and mixers available in the market. So there's a lot of interesting growth happening, and a lot of it is obviously available on delivery. But like I said, there is a lot of positive opportunity and upside in the food service delivery space. So and we're going to discuss some aspects of it. I'm going to start by asking each of the panelists to briefly, for a minute, just introduce themselves and the brands that they run, and then we'll get into the discussions. Swapnil.
Hey, hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Swapnil, and I manage sales for Swiggy. As a part of that, the most important thing which I manage is all restaurant relationships, talking to the partners, understanding the pain points they have, and figuring out solutions for them. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Bert. I founded California Burrito here in Bangalore about 9 years ago. And through the pandemic, worked hard to increase our delivery business with good results. So we'll hopefully share some interesting thoughts on that.
Hi, I'm Gauri Devidyal, co-founder of the Food Matters Group, a Mumbai-based hospitality group. So we have 2 restaurants, and in the last 2 years, we've grown to 4 delivery brands as well. So I'll talk a little bit more about that.
Hi, I'm Rashmi, founder of Fresh Menu.
Hi, my name is Shakir Haq, and I'm CEO of NKP Empire Ventures. We have brands, namely the Empire Restaurants, Easy Bites, and Empire Juice Shop. We are operating 30 plus outlets within the city of Bangalore and Mysore.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for keeping it brief. Okay, first topic, and the first thing we're going to discuss, what do customers look for when they're ordering delivery? Is it, I want to order on the platform, Zomato, Swiggy, versus I want to order directly with the brand? Is it the food? Is it packaging? Is it pricing, or is it other factors, or is it a combination? And what matters where? I think this is very important. I'm going to ask Rashmi to start with this because she had an interesting kind of thought on what was hyper-local, which I like.
So I think that's like one huge overarching question. And in our experience, I think consumers were looking for, I think, a combination of, starts with convenience, and in the convenience, the combination of quality of food, packaging, pricing, and the time of delivery, and the comfort that whatever they've asked for, they're getting it right. I always think food delivery business, the three key pegs are quality and taste of food, speed of food, and having no errors in your order, like the operating metrics have to be great. And that's, as a combination, is what drives the whole food delivery business.
Gauri, we were discussing this packaging, right? Its functionality versus the branding and how to use it. And how do you manage to kind of straddle both aspects of packaging in your delivery brands?
Delivery is at the one disadvantage, which it doesn't have a sort of front-facing, a customer-facing outlet like a restaurant does, right? So your only interaction with your customer tends to happen online, but actually, so which is why a lot of delivery brands focus so much on digital marketing. But actually, it's your food and your packaging that is, your biggest sort of brand representation to your consumer. And we often see packaging as purely a functional aspect, which is, you'll have your, like, sort of the plastic containers, or maybe a more sustainable one. And it's seen as a way of basically transporting the food to the consumer. But actually, it can be used to convey so much more about the brand and create brand recall and basically create a brand identity. So I think that, we need to be looking at packaging as a lot more than just the functional aspect.
Bert, your thoughts on what matters to your customers?
I guess it would just be dependent on, maybe what your strategy is. So, I've seen some brands in Delhi that have 1,000 rupee AOVs that 16% of their order value is packaging cost. And then you have a Magna Foods where probably a very low percent is the packaging cost, but ultimately the value of the food that they're ordering is what they're paying for. So really, there's no one right answer. We're kind of in the middle there.
Swapnil, what do you see on a platform level? And I know this would probably be different for different bands of AOV, but are there some insights that you can share on what you see? What is the customer looking for? What are the most important factors to the customer when choosing a delivery brand?
So for a customer looking for a brand which a customer already knows, right? Customer is ordering a brand. Brand is a promise which a customer has already experienced before. When you're asking for a new brand, what a customer is looking for, there are only two things which I think basis which most of the customers make their decisions on. Once they've decided on which cuisine they would want to order and they're exploring brands, the rating of a particular brand is the most important aspect, and the delivery times. The faster your food gets delivered and the higher your ratings are, the chances of your brand being selected by a customer is highest.
Shakir, you have multiple brands. Interesting, you have multiple brands across different price points. How do you manage, and what do you find different customer demands for the different brands that you run on delivery?
See, for us, it's a little different because we are a known brand in the city. And since, like Swapnil said, customers have already experienced. And for us, it's a matter of convenience. Are we available across the city? And like you said, delivery times play a key role. And for us, we are a mass brand. When we talk about a mass brand, the pricing point plays a very important role, and plus the taste. So for us, it's having the right kind of SKU on the menu and what customers really prefer eating. It could be a quick meal, it could be a heavy meal, or it could be a very comfortable meal, it could be a party happening. So we've been catering across all segments. So from age group being new gen to senior citizens. That would be in terms of our Empire brand. But with the fried chicken Easy Bites brand, it's quite different. Now it's a new brand, and again, creating brand awareness. The pricing was very key, and again, like ma'am said, the packaging played a very important role, how we are depicting the brand and what it's all about. So the USP carries, and how you convey the message. For us, it would be fresh.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, I want to pick up on what Swapnil said, and I think this is very interesting, and we were talking about it earlier, about this algorithm, right? This great mystery of the aggregators of how your brand gets placed, how the brand, when the screen's opened on the phone or on the desktop or the laptop, what shows up in a segment, right? You're searching burgers, what shows up, how to get your brand up there. And I think interesting, so Swapnil was talking Bert, we were talking about two aspects. That to have high scores on order prep time, so from when you receive the order to dispatch to make sure that you're within the norm of what you promised, and your customer rating. So Swapnil, you want to throw some light on this?
Yeah. So as you rightly pointed out, right, that the algorithm is something which is not something which everyone's aware of. To be fair, even I am not really aware of, right? But what I can
That sounds like a government of India answer, though, by the way.
No. But what I can definitely tell you is, when I say I'm not aware of the algorithm, I mean I'm not aware. There is no one formula for it. It's AI-driven, right? What I can tell you is there are certain aspects, right, on your business. If you work on them, the chances of you doing well on the algorithm is very high. The first one, as I spoke of a few minutes back also, is the rating of your restaurant. The higher your rating, the chances of you ranking higher in the algorithm is very high. Second is the promised lead, we call it PSLA, promised lead time, right? Or the delivery time, which is promised to a customer. Now, the delivery time is a factor of 2 or 3 different elements. One is how much time are you taking to prepare the order, which is called the prep time. And then once the rider picks it up, how much time he takes to deliver the order, right? What is in your control is to ensure that the prep time is the least. If your prep time is low, the chances of your food being delivered fastest to the customer is very high. And hence the promised SLA to the customer will be low on the listing. And hence the chances of your brand showing up is higher, right? And there are other aspects like we also measure things like cancellations. Like, are you... By the brand.
By the brand.
If you're getting orders, are you accepting it or not, right? Are you cancelling orders or not? Are your orders getting complaints from the customer or not, right? All of those things. So there are basic metrics of hygiene and kitchen operations. If you're able to sort that out, there is very high likelihood that your brands will appear on top on the listing.
I wish there was some kind of standards for Uber and Ola drivers not cancelling rides in the city. Yeah? I've had a disastrous experience since yesterday. Everybody does. Everyone's laughing. So, okay, we'll move to the next topic. And more than digital, it was how digital marketing and technology very clearly can be used to drive revenues. And when I say drive delivery revenues, it has to be drive revenues profitably, not just money going down a well. So, is it, because, most delivery brands today have, most delivery brands in India today have moved to a system where they have probably a large percentage of their orders on the aggregators, but they have their own platforms and they get their own, their own customer base. But what else can you do, with insights or ideas from people or what you've done or where you've used specifically technology intervention? So who wants to start? Gauri, you're next to me. Good luck.
No, I think, first of all, we talked about this earlier, the digital marketing is again a very wide, all-encompassing, phrase. I think that when it comes to looking at the nitty-gritties and spending money, you have to firstly identify what your purpose is, right? So are you looking at brand awareness or are you looking at generating revenues and sales? I think digital marketing is more effective when it comes to brand awareness, right? So whether you're using influencers, whether whatever, SEO, all sort of, I'm not very technically savvy, but yeah, so all the aspects of creating brand awareness, especially when a brand is just launching, right? And then when it comes to sales, my experience and very limited experience, obviously, you guys have been in the business, delivery business much longer, is that it's actually impossible to track how your ad spends are converting into sales, because a lot of that sale happens through the aggregators and you can't actually extract that information. So, I would say that use digital marketing effectively for brand awareness creation. Yeah.
Rashmi, any specific things that you've done in the past with tech? I know you're a very tech-focused cloud kitchen brand.
So on marketing and brand building, see first, I think the overarching theme today is brands will not be built on Swiggy and Zomato. So platforms, people either know what they're looking for or what shows up as an ad or what shows up on top. They may scroll and they may go to the menu, but eventually the brands will have to go build themselves hyperlocal by hyperlocal market. So wherever you're present in that market, you will have to do your offline marketing, you will have to do your activations, you'll have to work on letting people know that you exist here, you deliver in this locality, and your food is what they want at some occasion in their life. So I think the reality is the brands will have to do their own work on brand building. Brand building can be done both offline and online, and there are right costs and right efficiencies at each of these channels. As Fresh Menu, we did both. We obviously were born as a full, like always doing online orders, so there was obviously a lot of online marketing we did, both for brand and performance. But we also did a lot of hyperlocal activities, right from sending free boxes to corporate offices, running kiosks in offices for weeks, running residential society activations, participating in marathons and gifting food out, being in malls, letting people taste our product.
In your view, all those activations and kind of brand sampling, creating the brand awareness helped? It help getting orders and getting new customers?
So that's why it was a grounds up brand, right? I remember one activation we did, which was brilliant. We took approval in the summer months. We were distributing water and some food at traffic signals. And it touched so many people that people got to know, and there's excitement, there's buzz that you have to create. So you'll have to work on those stuff. Influencers obviously allow some amount of brand awareness, but they don't drive sales. So for sales, you will have to do other stuff.
But tech, CRM. Have you done anything interesting with CRM and to help with delivery?
I wouldn't say we've done anything particular on CRM. We're looking at automation right now. There's some interesting softwares that do marketing automation for SMS and for email, et cetera. But I think, coming back to what Swapnil was discussing, we had actually come to, he just articulated, but we had been thinking about, what do Swiggy and Zomato really want? And probably...
Besides market cap.
Well, so ultimately they're going to want higher value orders so they make more money on the order, and they're going to want more orders per rider per day. And then ultimately that's what they're going to be looking for. So how do I help them achieve that? And I think, whenever you're starting a delivery brand online, or whenever, you're trying to boost up your delivery sales, you're going to have an opportunity to buy visibility, clicks or whatever assets that they provide. But another way of thinking about it is, what can you do organically? Now, you're going to have to probably buy some visibility on the platforms, but organically, if you build a positive cycle with your staff on prep times and on ratings, maybe by giving them some incentive, you would spend much less on your clicks. So instead of spending 50,000 rupees a month on clicks for a store, maybe you spend 20,000 on incentive for your staff to hit those times, and over time you're going to see a very positive loop that occurs. Over a year you might triple your sales. We saw that at a store that had our best metrics. So I think make sure that you're asking your Swiggy and Zomato point of contacts for order level data, so you can go in and figure out which products have worse ratings, which times a day you have worse prep times, and you're going to find some interesting insights, I think, about your business that over time, by focusing on that, by incentivizing your team, you're going to see a very positive loop occur with that. On the digital marketing piece, I just add one thing, which would be, we weren't spending anything on marketing pre-pandemic. And during the pandemic, we started experimenting with Facebook, Instagram, and Google. And we did notice that by spending, you can spend 5,000 rupees and you reach a lakh people. So by putting in a few different touch points online your advertisement, showing your brand, it makes these spends that you do on Swiggy and Zomato perform better, because a person won't just be seeing your brand for the first time on Zomato. They'll also have seen it maybe on Google. Maybe you bought some Google display ads on news websites. Maybe you bought some Facebook ads. And it becomes a cheaper endeavor to acquire new customers when you're buying the clicks, which you're going to have to do at the beginning.
Let me add to that. I think what Bert said was very useful, and this is really for all the restaurateurs and cloud kitchen operators in the audience. Look at your data. Whether it's your own customer data or data from Zomato and Swiggy, ask for data. Beyond the data, look at your dashboards, look at your data. It will give you a lot of insight into your store operations, into your matrices, into what parameters. I don't think enough time is spent looking at customer and operational data, a lot of which is available, and there are a lot of tech platforms, many of whom are exhibiting here. So engage and look at your data. I think it's very important, both from understanding your customer and from understanding how you can optimize your operations. Shakir, do you want to add thoughts to the...
I would, completely agree with what the three of them said, and like you said, looking into data is key. And, when it's aggregator data, they follow up on a monthly basis, they come back with their reviews and what the funneling has been and how we've performed from your menu to cart and your cart to order. So where is it that we are lacking and what are the focus points? So focusing on that clearly helps. And we've taken pandemic as an advantage to connect with the customer online because that was the only source of revenue when the lockdown was on. And thanks to technology, I would say in such a situation that we could still reach out to a customer or the customer could reach out to his favorite brand. So here, for a new brand coming up, it is quite a challenging fact because a lot of money has to be spent. But like we spoke on Facebook, Instagram, and the other platforms, it does deliver at a very low cost. But being consistent and giving you the right type of content and sharing the right type of the product or what the customer actually requires. So with that, yes, like they have done multiple campaigns, it does help, yes.
Yeah, and you also have to understand if you're operating across multiple cities, the customer behavior online is different. So the same kind of social media strategy which works in the big metros will not necessarily work in a Trivandrum or a Cochin, a smaller town. So you've really got to make sure you have either the right knowledge, domain knowledge in your team, or you're using the right person who's, whether it's an agency or a freelancer, who understands. And I always say, with social media, the people who should do it for you should be between 23 to 30 years age. Those are the ones who should handle social media for you largely, because they live their lives on it, they understand it, they're also a customer base. So I think it's very important. Okay, to the most important and the last topic, and we will have at least 10 minutes for Q&A. So, profitability. What is all this for, right? I mean, it's for eventually both unit level profitability and profitability of your delivery business overall. Key challenge, broad statistic, 80 to 85% of cloud kitchen / delivery businesses in India don't make profit. They make losses. Okay? And 15-20% make profit. It's not a good number. And it's got to change. And then there are various factors and levers which can do it. I'm going to start here with Swapnil. What can you guys do to help this path to profitability?
So typically any consumer business, right, irrespective of whether it is food or anything, right, is typically built on two fundamentals. One is, are you getting new trialists on your business? Are you getting more new consumers to order from you? The second one is, are the consumers who are coming and ordering from you, are they repeating on you often? Right? The first part is never profitable. There is a term called customer acquisition cost. I'm sure you would have heard of it quite a lot, right? So the reason it's called the cost is because to get that first customer or to get that new customer to order on you requires some money, right? You will have to create the brand awareness. You will have to give some offerings or discounts or whatever, right, to get the customer try your food, right? But only when these customers repeat on your platform or on your restaurant, right, that is when you start making money. I think a lot of cloud kitchens, like the examples you gave, right, the place where they go wrong is they go big bang on marketing even before the product market fit for their food is delivered or not. Because they get a lot of new trialists who've tried their food, but they don't like the food. And hence they don't repeat.
A question for you is, are there some global or parameters that you guys have researched which is a range for what should be, customer acquisition cost, and what is a good range for having repeat business? Are there some broad parameters on ranges you can talk about?
There are repeat rates which we can, obviously, I don't have it at the top of the mind because it depends a lot on the kind of cuisines you are in, the kind of cities you are present in, right? Because urban cities will have a higher repeat rates probably, right? In rural cities, the point of going out or eating out is anyways lesser. It's an evolving market, right? But I'm saying as a precursor, the point which Rashmi was making earlier, right? Even before you go big on marketing, are you sure that when you give a sample of your food to someone, will that person like the food? Will that person actually repeat and say, okay, irrespective of what discount it comes in or whatever, I'm going to like this food and it's something which is something I'm willing to give to my family also, right? If you reach that point, that's the point you should start investing, marketing, and then start getting more consumers.
Rashmi, to you. So when we say profitability, It's a challenge, but how do you overcome it, and how do you for you, is it by cloud kitchen location overall? What do you look at for your business?
See, I think delivery business is a far more data-driven business possibly, because I think one being online and the kind of data you collect at every step of the business, there's obviously a lot of data-driven decisions and feedback that you can work on. So yes, it's possible to plan at what point and how do you achieve profitability. I think it has to be a primary goal, both when you design your brand and design what you're seeking in terms of, for example, AOV and number of orders per day. I think the business has highest sensitivity to that. And then at what COGS level are you trying to operate? So it's marketing, I think, comes in much later as a cost. But I think the reality is a core product proposition, core frequency, number of orders that you're designing for, what kind of staffing you're looking for. Do you want to centralize your brand? Do you want to operate at a local restaurant? There are a lot of decision making in the whole process, which is what will define your ultimate profitability. I don't think you can plan to be profitable from day one, but profitability at a COGS level, like if you design your brand to be at 45% COGS, I think there's very low likelihood that you will make money at the bottom line. So you have to be very conscious of each cost. For example, you were talking of packaging. Packaging also, while all of us would love to invest more and more on packaging, but you have to remember that it is coming out of the same money that you're earning from the customer, and it has to pay back for itself, right? So I think each of these cost items you'll have to be careful about. We are also in deep inflationary times, and that's something that is, for example, on top of my head, because your unit economics that you've designed for, a lot has changed in the last 6 months, right? So you'll have to recalibrate.
Gauri, you're new in the delivery business and you've got many brands. Is profitability, is like Rashmi said, is it more a midterm goal, or do you focus on it if you already started focusing on it?
No, I mean, we're focused on it from the get-go. You may not achieve it immediately. It may take some time. But two things I want to sort of just, say here is that, and as a restaurateur who got into the delivery space, delivery is always seen as this sort of cheaper version of a restaurant, right? You always think you're going to spend more when you go to a restaurant and you'll spend less when you order in. I think that whole perception is changing slightly, and will change even more, over time, where delivery doesn't necessarily mean cheap. It's also about, like, with any kind of food, whether you're eating in a restaurant or having it delivered, quality is of paramount concern. So it's not like you're compromising just because you're eating it at home. You're like, okay, I don't mind if it's mediocre food, right? So I think, first of all, we all, as sort of delivery brand owners, have to change that perception and be confident about what we are, what we're selling, and what it should be valued at. I think that's the first thing. And the second thing is that, I don't think it's easy to paint everything with one sort of brush, right? So when you are working with a higher AOV, you may be able to achieve that profitability sooner than when you're working with a lower AOV. So, I think that we can't generalize, and we have to look at it brand-wise.
But I think a couple of you said this, and I think it's very important. You got to step back, and originally when you're there, or if you're already in your business, step back in what customer need are you meeting, what segment are you meeting, what customer segment are you aiming for delivery, right? And there are many, like I said, over the pandemic, many new delivery segments have come. It's not all in the value kind of, the overall AOVs of Swiggy and Zomato have gone up by, we were sharing about 100. It's about 350 to 400 now. It used to be 250 to 300, right? And there's a lot of delivery businesses and brands which are getting 500 to 1,000 AOV, 1,000 to 1,500. So, you got to really step back, and it's very important to look at the product. I mean, are you really meeting a product need? Are you meeting a customer need and a gap in the market? I think that's very important. And I think another thing which you have to do is product innovation. You constantly got to do food innovation, right? I mean, customers are so, if they're frequent and they want more frequency and there's more competition, food innovation is what they're going to look for. But you started as a QSR focused dine-in brand and then pivoted to delivery. Now you're doing cloud kitchens, and we were chatting and you were saying, profitability in cloud kitchens it's getting there. But you're still expanding cloud kitchen. So I mean, you see the light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, I think when cloud kitchens start doing above 15 lakhs, they generally will make money. And, provided marketing spends are calibrated, they might take 6 months to make money. But net, we found the format is not as profitable as, say, a standalone that does, delivery and dine-in. So we see them as part of a growth strategy where in markets where real estate is a challenge, we can, start a cloud kitchen, maybe it gets to 15 or 20 lakhs of sale, and then we can port the sale over to a higher rent location. But cloud kitchens are part of a strategy. It wouldn't be the only part of the strategy.
Thank you. Shakir, you want to add something? We're going to go into Q&A then.
In terms of delivery business, I think we've started on a very early stage. I think we started delivering by ourselves in the year 2007. And over time, with aggregators coming in, as a matter of convenience, even in technology where people are more used to a Zomato and a Swiggy. So the idea of having an own platform, investing on an app, converting your customers to your own platform is going to be a difficult task. So rather focus on the aggregator of the platforms where the customers are more aligned to. Now, how we became successful in our 5 cloud kitchens is, over time, we understood the SKU that is needed. So costs are high. Like Rashmi ma'am said, the volatility with the raw materials in the market is something that we are unable to control. So what can we control is our fixed costs. So how can we optimize operations? How can we optimize the manning? And how can we optimize the menu? So that plays a key role in understanding your AOVs. And discounting does not always bring loyalty. Again, it comes back to the food quality that you serve and how consistent you are.
I'd just add one thing. I think he said location is an interesting one. I think sometimes we optimize for rent, and maybe we take a 4th floor for a cloud kitchen. But you might be better served taking a ground floor where your prep time will be reduced, because you might pay 10,000 rupees more rent, but you're going to save 3 minutes on prep time, which is going to be more valuable. So I think these things, all these factors have to be considered when we're taking these decisions.
Okay, Q&A. Raise your hand. Specific, introduce yourself briefly. Can we get mics? And either address the question to a specific panelist or generic is okay. Please, let me get some. Yeah, there's the gentleman in the first table. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, I am Divyanshu from Gharpe. So basically, I want to know, basically from Swapnil, from Swiggy. So there are so many people from, owners from, F&B. So basically, D2C is very hot right now in the retail and all the segments. Everybody is expanding to cloud kitchen and all. So many brands are coming, like Peppo is here. So how you are tackling it, with D2C, what will be the future after 2 years? We can see in news, drones delivery and all.
Swapnil, did you get that question? No?
Sorry,
No.
I didn't
Sorry,
get
could you just repeat the specific question again?
So after 2 years, brands will focus on self-delivery, or they will use the platforms only. Right now, AOV is increased by 30% if I use Swiggy. And if I use Eat Club, it will be decreased. And Fasosi is using Swiggy to promote Eat Club. So how it's the future gonna be like?
If I understand your question correctly, you're asking whether brands will deliver themselves using a separate app, or they will continue to be on Swiggy, Zomato, or both will exist after, let's say, 2 years, right? Is that your question?
Yes.
Right. So, see, the answer is simple, right? If you are able to provide equivalent or higher level of customer service to a customer by using your own app, and you are able to do it in a cost which is cheaper than Swiggy, Zomato, right? Then you should go for it, right? The only players who will exist in the long run doing their own delivery will be the ones who are able to do these 2 things better than Swiggy, Zomato, right? Other than that, for most brands, right, which don't have that kind of a scale, probably a Swiggy, Zomato will still work well because it's better customer experience and also better cost for you.
Can I just add something to that? Which is that, let's not forget that we're in the business, we're in the F&B business, right? So for all of us here who have F&B brands, we're not tech gurus. We're not in the logistics business. So let those who do that well do their job, and you focus on yours, which is good food, at the right price.
Okay, more questions. There were some hands raised. Can we get a mic? Tables on the left. There's 2, and then at the back. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Hello. Sorry, I didn't get your name. No. The lady. Yeah.
Gauri.
Yeah,
David,
Gauri,
yeah.
you said people who are in F&B business, they're good at it, and leave the tech business to tech people. But like, for example, Swiggy, for now, they have their own cloud kitchens. You guys run your own cloud kitchen, right? So other companies who are starting from basic, who knows their business,
Yeah.
when they're coming into it, we can't compete with you because you have a
No,
cloud
no.
kitchen.
So let me come into that. So what we don't want to do today, and I don't want to do in the audience, is a aggregator versus restaurant. There's enough battles going on in various forums. So but your point is a valid point. But it's a valid point.
How do we compete?
It's right now a matter of a regulatory inquiry, etc. So I don't think he'll be, it's not fair to ask him to answer it. It is something which has been escalated by the Restaurant Association. It is under discussion. I just think everyone should focus on what Gauri said. Be a good restaurateur. Look at your food, your packaging, your customer base, and don't not waste, but don't spend your time and bandwidth looking at the other stuff because there's too much. Yes, at the back, can we get a mic? Oh, in the middle here, two at the back. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nandini, representing Hungry Eyes Crafted for Canines. Rashmi, this question is actually more towards what you've been doing with Fresh Menu, especially at the time when you started. And I think for me, what I see Fresh Menu as also is something which would have also focused on subscription when you started. So was there any strategy that you had done towards subscription specifically of food?
Very good question. I think, no, so from day one, the focus was, I think, to figure out delivery business. And I think delivery business somehow has evolved into this very last minute, on-demand ordering. Today we are on a different bandwagon where everybody is trying to get on to 10-minute delivery, while all of us were trying to optimize for 40-minute delivery. So I think the reality is that the business and the consumers both, see, if you offer 30-minute delivery to consumers, there's no need for them to plan and to order in advance or to think of subscription. And that, I think, is a reason a lot of subscription businesses did not come into play. While it would be lovely from a restaurant perspective if subscriptions were available, because your revenues are guaranteed upfront, your how many orders you need to prepare at what time is guaranteed. So we would love to get into subscription business. We tried to build a Fresh Club, a subscription membership program. We are right now thinking of building a health subscription program, but yeah, I think the reality is if consumers get everything at the click of a button and promised in 10 minutes, I think they're going to be a very small segment which will pay for subscription.
I think there is work happening in subscription, and there's opportunity in healthy foods. Where there's people who want specific keto diets and gluten-free food and all. I'm seeing that there are delivery businesses or even FMCG artisanal businesses which are getting subscription. But for the regular brands, it's not something.
One more question for Swapnil actually. Considering that the pet food industry is actually growing, especially after the pandemic, is there any plan that Swiggy has in terms of entering that and also supporting the subscription model for these pet food brands, specifically for Hungry Eyes Crafted for Canines?
Your question was on pet food brands.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay. Quickly, but that's not really, quick answer, but that's
no,
not
so
focused
actually
yet.
during the pandemic, we actually started a service where we were also delivering pet food. We used to pick up pet food from the stores and selling it to, or to delivering it to the customers who were ordering. But yes, that was more because during pandemic, it was need of the hour and that was not available. But in the long run, at least it doesn't fall in the sequence of things we want to do on Swiggy food. For future launches, you never know.
Okay, can we get a mic at the back to the gentleman with the mustache? Sorry, I don't know how else to identify you. Black shirt. There you go. And then after that, the gentleman behind him.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Sandeep. I represent KitchenZat. We are, if not the largest cloud kitchen player in India right now. Given the discussion with all the panelists, I'm trying to figure out what is the perfect recipe to build a brand? Everybody said acquisition is a loss-making thing. Do I focus on quality? Do I focus on repeats?
Sorry, I didn't say it's a loss-making thing. I said that transaction might be loss-making.
Sorry.
Am I?
Because none of us will exist without acquisitions.
Absolutely.
So perfect recipe to build a brand. That's a good one. Who wants to answer that? Yeah? Come on.
If there was ever a
there
perfect
was
recipe.
I'm listening as well, whoever wants.
Okay, so no, I'll answer as my
There's no
panelists
perfect
are not coming in, unfortunately. No perfect recipe, no magic wand and formula. I think a lot of it is really making sure that you have a thing which has a customer fit. I'll come back, and it's been said 2-3 times on the panel. You got to make sure that the food you're offering in the cuisine and in the segment and the price point, there's a demand for it. There's an unmet demand. There's not too much competition, and that what you're doing is unique, right?
And delicious.
And yeah, of course, it's unique and delicious. So I think that is the basic premise. And if you get that right, having been in the restaurant business 32 years, essential after that is consistency. Executing consistently, giving the same experience to the customer, and without that, you are not going to succeed. So I would say, kind of consistency, focus on execution, making sure you have a product market fit, maybe some of the guidelines.
Thank you, Samir.
Okay, behind you.
Hi, my name is Jatin. I'm from Restaurant Homes. I have a question with Swapnil. Like Swapnil said,
Swapnil is very popular.
yeah,
Swapnil is the most popular on my panel for questions.
prep time plays an important role in driving more sales. But don't you think there should be transparency in that? Like even marking food ready to the customer, it shows food is being prepared. And every day I get like 10 calls and I'm explaining to the customer that it's delayed because rider is not assigned, and we get negative rating as well. And he said that rating also plays an important role in that. But there is no transparency in that. We are.
No.
have
Let
to
him,
take
let
the
him
blame
answer
for
that. Let him answer that. Good.
Yeah, but I agree to your point. There might be instances where this might be happening, right? But I think the point in discussion was what will happen before the customer is actually placing an order. That's when your historic prep time and all plays a very important role. The point which you were making was when a customer is already ordered, and what is the customer then seeing on the track screen, whether the food is being prepared or the rider is carrying the food or not, right? The question earlier which we were discussing was, how can you ensure that your restaurant listing is up, right? By ensuring that you have the right prep times. And your right prep time just takes in only your the time when you got an order from the time you press the MFR button. That is what gets considered to calculate your prep time.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to cut. If you have more questions, please feel free to come up after the session's over to the panelists or to me. Thank you, Swapnil, Bert, Gauri, Rashmi, and Shakir. Thank you for your insights. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a great audience.